If you need a boost, an energy boost, a buzz, I know someone who can help. And yes, that's because I've experienced it. Energy Edd Edwards, EDD, Edwards.com. That's the website. For anyone who hasn't heard this story, a refresher.
Yeah, that was my neighbor. When that bolt of lightning came down and hit exactly where I told him it was going to 10 minutes before it happened, that made a believer out of him.
Edd Edwards, my guest, and Laura Rinaldo, your accomplice.
Yeah, she's my accomplice here. I met Laura back in April. She didn't know she had energy, and I didn't know anything about her until all of a sudden I came over to a house where she was at for a private meeting I was going to do. And as I was working, pulling up the house, I felt something really strong. Something kind of pushed me outside. You know how I do the push-pull electric gravity waves?
Yeah.
Well, she had those abilities. She didn't know she had them. But when I got inside and started working with them, it triggered them. And then we went down to the Monroe Institute and got her tested there. And it was surprising how fast. I just called Ross and the research people up at Monroe and say, hey, I met someone that I'd like to see if we could get them in the lab. And they said, can you have them here tomorrow? And so we got great arrangements, went down there, and sure enough, she's got the juice. We're looking at ways of working together here and doing things. We're doing Zooms together right now and trying to keep everything flowing. I'm here in New York City now. I'm interacting with different doctors that are affiliated with Yale, Harvard, and other medical associations to go along with the studies I have at the University of Virginia. And now Laura joining in with us at the Monroe Institute. So we're just getting all kinds of great research openings going on.
Well, real quick, Laura, what is your background? Since this was a surprise to Ed, what do you do?
Yeah, it was a complete shock to myself as well. So I've been in the med spa business for 35 years. So, completely, not even close to anything that he does. But, everything we do there is basically delivering energy into the skin, ironically. The one thing that I did bring up to Ed when I was 19, I did get electrocuted by a tanning bed, which, my question to him was that something that contributed to this.
Wow. Was a near-death experience, anything like that? What was the result?
No, it wasn't near-death. It was when you're changing the bulbs, you are, as my dad kept telling me to unplug the bed, and of course I did not. Get the buy pin. And then the pin spun, and I stuck my fingernail in there to straighten it. And, that charge went up my right arm, across and down my left foot, and found myself on the floor. And my right eye twitched for like a week straight. It kept fluttering. And what's interesting is it went away. And then when I met Ed, it started back up again. And it's still going.
Okay, so a trigger.
I'm her twitch.
Right.
Okay, so there are a lot of YouTube videos. You demonstrate how you do the energy, and no matter how many times you see it, it's always, to me, so informative because of the crowd you're working with and how different people respond. That's something I think that people continue to be surprised at your ability. Have you noticed that?
Oh, yeah, and it's getting stronger and stronger. Getting much faster results than those that it does work on. Now, we still have a few people that are a little bit slow connecting with it in the beginning, but once we get them going, a lot's happening. And then the recovery rates in people is greatly increasing. Because remember, me and Laura, we're not healing anything. We're creating an electrical flow that we transmit to people that activates the healing mechanisms within their bodies. So all we have to focus on is maintaining a positive flow of energy. Now, we generate and collect that energy out of the universe. We're able to draw energy in and create it and then reassign it or transmit it toward targets or large targets or just a whole bunch of targets all at the same time. And that's why we do our Zoom rooms. People come in with different kinds of pains. Doesn't matter what it is. They just come in, we get them locked in, we turn the power on, and everybody goes to smiling. Boom.
You also demonstrate PK energy. Very few people can demonstrate that at will.
Yes, that's something they found out I can do under command or anytime I want to is activate it and set off instrumentation at the lab either locally or non-locally. We do long-range experiments, and now we're setting up long-range electrotherapy type electric energy medicine research. They'll be having the subjects will be at the Monroe Institute, and I'll be just wherever I'm at, probably here in New York City or wherever, And we'll be doing long-range focusing on the test subjects in the lab that'll be all wired up to the electrometers and everything. So they'll be able to see the voltage changes in the clients that we work on inside the copper wall array lab at Monroe Institute.
That's another new development, the copper wall room.
Yes, you can look at that also on my website there. I've got a good bit of write-ups on it. And in fact, Ross has just gone public about the research on us through the Society of Scientific Exploration, Human Electrostatic Field Measures and Copper Wall Replication Study by Dr. W.J. Ross Dunsey.
In terms of the demonstrations on your website, you have one, the woman who had a stroke.
Yeah, I've got all kind of people, different strokes, different problems, and I put them up there just to give people an idea of what this electricity will do or is capable of doing when applied to other people with various problems. And like I say, it's the same electricity for everything across the board. Laura and I, we're not healers. We're not healing anything. All we're doing is generating high voltage mentally and being able to transmit it. And that voltage causes anybody that's receptive to it to start their healing processes. And so we're doing studies on it.
When you talk about learning at a young age, you talk about your grandmother and how she helped you. Can you talk about that?
Well, I was a problem birth, so she did this energy on me for the first 3 years of my life daily. And I remember at just nearly 1 year of age being able to feel it, making me tingle all over and everything. And she just kept doing it, and then once I was 3 years old, whatever was wrong got better and stuff. And then she started teaching me how to play with it because she could feel it coming out of my hands back to her. And so we'd play patty cake games and little things like that, but it was with the magnetics, electrical magnetics between our hands. Now, Grandma always called this energy the Holy Spirit. She said we have the power to bring on the Holy Spirit, and that's the way she identified with it all her life. And she was very religious. People come to her for all kinds of healings, and she would read scripture, and, their pains would go away, just like it is with me. Now, I have my own style, which I've learned how to do it non-locally, transmit the energy, and it's just a matter of locking onto this universal Holy Spirit, whatever it is, bringing it into our systems, and then aiming it out all across the world. Then anyone like you or anyone else, if you can hear my voice and being part of it, then you will lock into the energy that'll come through the quantum field, and it'll activate your healing mechanisms. Get you running.
What do you have the best results with?
Pain seems to be a big one. We're really good at getting people to lower their pain levels and stress levels. And we've had people like, what was that with Kathy, Laura?
With Kathy, she had all sorts of the sinus. I mean, her voice was completely different. Her entire head was, she couldn't swallow, she couldn't breathe, she couldn't hear. So that was about 15 minutes, and both sides cleared out.
And that was non-local, over the phone.
Like remote healing.
Remote healing, I guess, would be the term, yeah. Dr. Levengood found out back in the mid-90s that I can transmit this energy through consciousness. And so we did many, many, many research projects when not at the lab, but transmitting the energy with him recording it with things happening to different subjects or plant material. We did a lot of stuff with plants where I could cause the plant to start growing again if it was going through the decay process, and just all kind of neat experiments when this energy is applied to it.
Now, there is some question when you're working with healing, is it by permission? Is there something about that where the person has to be receptive, believe in it, or is it just, it works no matter what?
Well, it works no matter what, but if they're open to it and receptive to it, it'll really help them much better. They can't block it, and if somebody starts to block it, I don't waste any more time on them. I just move on to the next person. There's plenty of people hurting that love this.
The one thing I've heard repeatedly is that swelling in the feet. One session, everyone notices that. Would you say that's a common response, Ed?
Yeah, it makes swelling and things like that go down really fast. We have people with, what is it called, lymphedema, where the legs are all swollen up, they're not draining, and we can do an energy session with them, and normally by the end of the session, they're already shrinking on them. I've had people say that they can't even wear their shoes anymore because their feet shrunk so much.
Yeah, we had a couple people with that. Yeah, telling us that their shoes fell off.
Now, the electricity is just causing the bodies to start functioning. You know, you have everything built into you. It's just that because you're not doing what we are, because in my case, you know, I've been doing this since a young child, and in reality, this should have been allowed to be open to everyone. The idea of religion should have been to teach the children these abilities instead of taking these abilities away from the children. And that's what the religion does. They take these abilities away from people. And so that's what I've dealt with all my life. I had friends when I was just in preschool and stuff. We were playing with energy, doing all kinds of things. By the time we got into second grade, they quit playing with it because they all got whoopings and stuff for playing with the devil. So they deliberately cause people to be scared of these magnetic energies in the hands and everything to get them to not play with it, so that if they get them to stop as children, then they'll never be able to do anything as adults with this electrical energy unless someone like me comes along and helps trigger them and gets them started.
What do you recommend for people who would like to jumpstart their own healing ability? How do they get started?
This way, probably come visit me and Laura in our Zoom rooms that we do 4 of each week, just to kind of get a feel for it and everything. And then I do have a 3-hour class I call Restarting the Brain Generator that you can find on my website under a button that is called Learn to Create Energy. And you can just click that and go watch a video. And then, you know, I just charge a small price for it. So I think it's $79. It's a 3-hour course. You take the first hour and a half and then give it a week and take the other half. And I teach you how to restart the power generator in your brain. So you can't do all this energy stuff that I'm doing, Laura and I are doing, unless your brain is producing measurable electricity. That's what got switched off in you when you were a young child. When the religions and all that beat it and conditioned it out of people, they switched the generator off in them. You turn that off, none of the other brain functions can do anything. And that's what happened to them. But with me, I had a grandmother that kept reinforcing it and got me past that stage. By the time I got to be 8 years old, there was no convincing me that this was not real. And, you know, I was down pat with it.
The website is eddedwards.com, and it's Edd, E-D-D. The other thing about this is when you get on the website, B.I.R.E. stands for what?
Bio-Intrinsic Resonant Energy. That is the term coined up by Dr. William C. Levengood, the famous crop circle researcher, and Dr. John Getty, to give this energy a new classification, because we've clearly proved it is not Reiki, it's not hands-on healing, it's none of them other known modalities. This is an ancient but brand new form of energy medicine. Now, we're trying to figure out different names for it, because one of the big studies that proves the existence of this at UVA in Monroe is that our brains are operating on multiple levels of consciousness simultaneously when we're doing this energy. That's something they've never seen in anybody. Everybody that's gone through the EEG studies, Monroe, UVA, all these other places, they're all operating in one level of consciousness zone. But when they had me in the EEG studies and got to going, my brain is PKing at all levels, alpha, beta, delta, theta, all at the same time. And they watch it moving around in my brain. And then I'm able to bring it up like that and transmit measurable energy anywhere, even from inside the Faraday cage to many miles away, or from many miles away to inside the Faraday cage, which they say is impossible until I come along.
So the Faraday cage, explain that.
A Faraday cage is a aluminum. There's 2 layers of 1-inch thick aluminum walls separated by a wire mesh in between, and it's aluminum like that all the way around a chamber that is about 6 foot wide, 8 foot the other way, you know, standing room, and it has a recliner in it. You can see it inside and on my webpage. I've got several different pictures of it. They strap the EEG brain mapping tab onto my head and then take me inside that chamber and plug me into the master computer. I got 5 computer bands that are wired into my head that plug in. Then I kick back in a recliner, and then a computer runs the project. All the scientists get completely out of the building. They got like a 10-minute window to get out, and then the thing starts the processes. And so a computer tells me to either focus or to rest my energy. 48 seconds on, 48 seconds off, 48 on, 48 off, and we'll do 300 runs like that each time. And so that gets the data to where they can see what my brain is doing and compared to the previous rest period. And then the computer, so it won't set up any funky algorithms, somewhere in the run, it'll give me 2 rest periods in a row, or it'll give me 2 focus periods in a row. So that breaks up any kind of algorithm that is starting up into the data. So we're getting very clean results. It's very evident what my brain's doing to cause these effects now. So that's just getting one study's paving the way to another study.
And the purpose of the Faraday cage, it blocks everything from the outside?
You can have your cell phone on and be inside there and hearing everything. And when they close that door, you lose every signal everywhere. No electromagnetic radiation can go into it or out of it except Eddie the alien electricity.
EddEdwards.com, EddEdwards.com. Question for Laura. When you're working with Ed, do you feel a buzz, an energy? How does that work for you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, as soon as so on Tuesdays, I come into the city and I'm in the room with him. So that's like, as soon as I'm walking into the building, I can already feel him coming on. And then by the time we're done with the Zoom session, I mean, every part of my body is lit up. When we're doing them remotely, like tonight, I'm going to be here, he's going to be there. It's the same thing. As soon as we start talking, like even right now, like my face is all starting to buzz, my hands are all starting to light up. So there's already a connection building.
Is there a balance because the two of you are also working the energy? How does that fit?
Okay, Laura's the feminine side. I'm the masculine side. So that's just like the positive and negative side on a 12-volt battery. So it evens out the flow. It causes everything to flow. See, I was powerful and doing all kind of crazy things, and actually maybe too powerful in some cases. Now with Laura, it tones it down, smooths it out, and kind of gives it a more even flow out through there. So we get really good results out of people.
Go back to the recent study, Ed. They also found out by you turning it down a little bit and for a longer period, the results were better, right?
Yeah. I was at the Ryan Research Centers where they do the bio-photon, bioenergy studies on us. And in the beginning days, I'd build it up and go, pow! And I'd build it up and go, pow! In the lab in there, and produce massive amount of biophotons in there. But we found out it wasn't doing nothing but just like blowing smoke, in other words. So we learned, and I trained with John Cruth and them down there to bring my pulses down, lower the intensity of them, and then stretch them out. So now instead of boom, and then give it a little while, and then boom, now it's like boom, 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 boom. So it's kind of like a steady pulse pattern. Yeah. And that's where we're getting the most significant results in the healing mechanisms in people.
And that makes sense. That flow, that steady, consistent, fluid flow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Laura's all healed now, right, Laura?
I've got nothing going on. Yeah, I've got absolutely nothing. And I also like to kind of put Ed's terms into like what the general public can understand when it comes to his measurements. So for a Reiki master, Ed measures 40 times higher than a Reiki master. And then if you want to take that as compared to like what a normal average person would measure, 3,500 times higher than an average person. That kind of gives people a little bit more perspective of how much of an anomaly he is. Energy healers are anomalies. He's the anomaly of the anomalies.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so do you want to do a demonstration to embed
Sure.
within this?
We'll embed it. So Laura, go ahead and stand up.
Already there.
Okay, see, Laura's in another location, and I'm over here in New York City. So we're getting our energies. We're revving up. I can already feel her energies, and so we're revving it up back and forth. Now, for all of you people in the future out there listening to this radio show, stand up, and these experiences will be just like in real time from this recording. So as you stand up, stand very, very still and just pay attention to what's going on. So now Laura and I are revving this energy up, and we're flipping the polarity in it back and forth. And so that process is activating your electrical fields. So you should be starting to feel a slight tingling in your fingertips through there. Okay, and then now pay attention to your balance, because this sets up electrical gravity waves. So right now we're pulling forwards on everybody. Now we'll let off of it. We'll reverse the electrical polarity and push backwards on you. Okay, we'll let off of it, reverse the electrical polarity, and pull forwards again. So this is the same process we use to start all our Zoom rooms. We get everybody standing up, we knock them back and forth a few times, and then we, like right now, I'm going to pull you sideways. So I'm pulling you sideways. So how many of you are going to your right? If you are, you're locked in right with us. If you're going the other way, you're wired backwards, which happens. All right, we're letting off of it. Now we'll pull you back over to the left. That's coming out of this video. Recording. Okay, we're letting off of it. Now, Laura, let's pull them forwards again. Oh, yeah, that'll be good and strong in that recording. Okay, letting off of it. So that's quick for a little demonstration. So if anybody was hurting, in pain or anything, that little short demonstration will help the pains ease, take away some of the stress. And that's the best way to demonstrate it, is to watch someone go from extreme pain to no pain real fast.
Okay, so what if you're wired backwards?
Well, you're still going to go pain-free and everything. You're just going to have some reverse effects that are like when we're pulling forwards, the wired backwards ones, they go backwards. And when we pull backwards, then they go forwards. But, we don't know why this and why that. That's why we do research. So that's, part of future research to understand why you're wired this way or you're wired that way.
Well, does it make a difference left-handed or right-handed, or is the energy separate?
My energy, we learned in the studies, like with Dr. Levingood and all that, the primary energy comes out my left hand. It comes out my left hand. I always use my left hand primarily as the healing hand, even when I'm working on other people or myself. The right hand is like the ground. So you just kind of want to put the right hand near them, on you, and then you can run the voltage through the body, and it travels through the body back over to the right hand. And so that just completes the cycle through there. So it helps everybody have a flow of energy through that way.
Does that make a difference because the left hand is the heart?
That's what we think.
Okay.
That's what the scientists believe, is because the left hand's tied to the heart, and the heart's got to function. If the heart quits functioning, no use sending energy out the left hand.
Yeah, it's kind of a done deal. Yeah. Okay, so on your reels on Facebook, you did a real interesting, I thought, demonstration, a reading that you took, and this is electromagnetic energy, and people who live under power lines or close to power lines or cell towers and that kind of stuff, they might find that interesting. What was the purpose of the demonstration?
Yeah. Well, I just happened to spot those high 480,000 volt power lines next to her place there. And so I went and got my iPad, and I keep all these sensors on. They're just apps on there. If your viewers will go get an app called Toolbox Pro. It's like $4, $4.99 for the app there one time. And inside that app, it has all kind of little things that uses the sensors on your phone to give readings. So I was using that in my iPad to measure the electromagnetic radiation being emitted off of those 480,000 volt power lines that she has next door to her there. And so even as far away as we were right there, I was getting over 2,000 and something milligauss in the readings. And the safe range is around 500 milligauss to be exposed to all the time.
That's huge. Absolutely huge.
Yeah, but there's no regulations. And, power companies hope there never will be any regulations, or they'll have to move their power lines or something.
I brought that up because my mother had a relative, and the relative, as soon as they put the cell tower basically right over her house. The land was available, sold to somebody else, and she and her husband both didn't last 10 more years. So I just, they felt like that contributed to their decline.
It possibly could there. The thing about cell towers is if you're right down under them, you won't get a signal off of them. Those things send a signal out horizontally, out from them. And so the signal's traveling, so they're picking up a residual radiation that was coming down from the tower probably there.
Well, this was about 40 years ago, about 40 years ago. So it's a completely different animal and probably a little more powerful.
That was microwave towers. They didn't have cell towers 40 years ago.
Okay, this is my...
I used to install them. We did them for the power companies to control the power output at dams. Those were microwave. They're towers, radio towers, but they have microwave dishes, and they send microwaves, a low-level microwave, but it signals. And that's how they transmitted from one tower to another to control the power plants and power companies.
Okay.
Regulation.
So that might be a little bit more intense.
Yeah, a lot more intense.
When you're working with this kind of electricity, energy, people are concerned about what kind of radiation they were exposed to, like just with a regular microwave in the house or with all of our electronics. So you're somebody who actually can feel that or sense that or gauge that. Does that affect your ability to heal?
It doesn't affect my ability to heal, but if I get around really strong electromagnetic radiation, my healing energies kind of turn into a force shield, kind of a shield and stuff. So I don't really do any healings under those circumstances. I'm just in safe mode right then, protecting myself from it, using my electrical field as a built-in Faraday cage.
So if people would like to do healing, self-healing and that kind of thing, is there a better environment for them to practice in?
Well, you can practice anywhere, but if you're out in the country, you might find a stronger feel and connection to source and to the planet than directly in the city, but yet that is not proven. We don't know if that's yes or no like that. I'm getting good results out of people all over the place, more so in young people. Seems like the younger they are, the quicker they catch on to this. I've got students at 5 years of age.
Well, that's like
others around 12 and 14. Yeah, that's the same age I started at it. Mm-hmm.
Well, I was asking you because
that's the idea.
A lot of the sacred temples and the places that are considered holy, their ley lines, the grid, the ways that they have been set up have been determined to be in some way more conducive to these healing energies. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And I grew up right on top of ley lines and ancient Indian holy grounds and all that stuff. And so that might have played a part. Of course, my grandmother's what really influenced and started it with me and kept it alive in me and didn't let everybody beat it out of me.
Do you have anybody else teaching what you do right now, aside from Laura, who could probably give people a lesson or two?
No, not yet. But I am finding now, like with Laura, basically when I got around her and started interacting, it activated her. And I have met another girl by the name of Jolene that she's starting to, she's got her own funky energy, and it seems like we triggered it too, Laura and I. I've noticed with other people around at different events I've been at, once I start playing with them, interacting, they seem to start picking up and start being able to do just a little bit more than they were originally doing.
Going back to your website, though, that's where the Learn to Create Energy class is available.
Yeah, go there and take that Restarting the Brain Generator. Let me look on there and see, make sure I get you the right link. The link is called Learn to Create Energy on my website, eddedwards.com. It's in the menus there, Learn to Create Energy, and click that. And it'll take you to a little preview introduction video and watch it. And about 14 and a half minutes into, then a little drop-down pay window comes up if you want to continue to learn. And then I charge, when your payment goes through, then it opens the door and sends you a password so you continue watching the video. And I recommend just doing the first half of it up until you see my shirt change to a different shirt. And then you stop right there. and you play with all that stuff I teach you there for about a week. It's important that you do that before you watch the rest of the video. Because if you watch it all at one run, it's just too much there for you to comprehend to really set it off right.
So developing a practice.
Correct.
Okay. A routine, basically. Now you also
have... Yeah, that's all it is, the routine.
You also have energy on demand videos.
I created a couple, and me and Laura's been working on doing some more, where we embed this energy like we're doing here on your show, but we do it in a nature type video or so, where we embed the energy in it so that when people watch the videos in the future, it brings them relief for their aches, pain, stress, whatever's going on with them. Helps them ease out just from a little 7 to 10 minute video.
Now you do have testimonials. And the very front page where you have a lot of different demonstrations and stuff, what would be the best one that shows slam dunk, this is what you did, and this was the result?
I've just noticed, let's see, where are the testimonials at? I may have to do a little finagling around. I got to get them all up there, but I got several hundred testimonials from different people that I've worked on over the last 15 years. And it's just everything across the board. And remember, though, we are not the ones doing the healing. These people we apply the energy to become their own healers. Their healing systems activate. And whatever's wrong with them, their systems go after it. I don't have to know nothing. I don't really have to know anything. I just got to turn the energy on, connect it in, let them get locked in, and the rest will take care of itself on its own.
On his Facebook, we've got 3 before and after photos of different clients. Of you can see the discernible difference on them for what was the inflection from the energy. It's quite amazing.
That's what I wanted. Just that slam dunk of here's the before, here's the after, and guess what? It worked.
Exactly. That's what we're getting there, and that's what we've started doing. And then I've just now recently installed in my website to allow people that have taken part in our sessions and things to be able to leave video, a 2-minute video testimonial. So those will start happening on there soon.
At one point you were traveling. Are you going to do any traveling?
I slowed down a little bit. I'm not doing as much traveling as I was. Like I say, COVID slowed things down, but now we're getting labs opened up all over the country that are talking about different research projects. So I will start traveling again some.
Do you work with hospitals or healing centers right now?
Yes. And even today, interacting and working with doctors from Yale and Harvard. And they keep bringing different clients of theirs to us with like cancer, tumors, and things like that. And all of them are getting really great results from us. And so they're in the process, Dr. Yusum's in the process of setting up a new energetic medicine lab to study me and exceptional healers in at Yale University under the mental health and spirituality departments. And so that's in the process right now. We're working on raising $4 million for that lab. I believe she has $2 million already for it. So once we get all the funds appropriated, then we're going to have a fantastic new lab up there. And then we're working with other doctors that are tied in with Harvard. We don't know where it's going, but we're creating the most we can with what we have to work with.
Now, there's a documentary in the works. Any idea on how long, when that will come to fruition?
Well, I thought it was going to, and then when I got hooked up with these new doctors and stuff, Maxie said, let's make that part of it too. You know, her and the main doctor are friends, so she's already done projects for Yale video stuff, with them to help them in their research and stuff. So we want to get me on in there and Laura on in there, and then add this new stuff to it, and then see where we go from there.
Okay, so a little farther down the road, like maybe 2025.
Yeah, something like that. I believe we'll have something out.
You guys, do you do a regular session? Like, what's the schedule?
Tuesday night, Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday morning at 9 a.m. That one may be a little judgy. And then Sunday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. All of them Eastern time zones. So that's 4 a week. So we try to give, a little bit of time here and there so people all over the world can take part. Because we have clients from almost every country on the planet nearly. Those are the main areas.
So, Laura, what has changed for you working with Edd? What have you noticed with I guess, the new schedule, the new lifestyle, the new project?
you meet a lot of new, interesting people. It opened up a whole new world for me, which is absolutely fascinating. You know, I always say I wake up every day thinking, oh, what's going to happen today? It's just always something new. I like to talk about my parents a lot. They're both in their 80s. My mom was struggling with a lot of health problems, really just very depressed, couldn't be on her feet, pain, chronic headaches all the time. She's like a completely different person. She's even better than when she was good, if that makes sense. Like she, taking chair yoga, things like that. She's socializing. She never even used to socialize. So to see like that 180 in her, and my dad, he never really had a lot of issues. He had more like a spinal stenosis, scoliosis that was really keeping his upper back, limiting him a lot. He's got a lot more flexibility. So between all the new and exciting people and my parents, I mean, I can't ask for anything better right now.
Well, that's a huge thing because, I mean, your relatives, you've seen start to finish how that made a difference. How many sessions was this just being around, Ed, or personal one-on-one sessions?
They don't miss even one session. They've been on them since April, and they are absolutely addicted. They don't want to even miss one. I'm going to say 4 to 6 is when she really started noticing that she no longer needed her compression hose. And even like her calluses on her feet were so hard she couldn't be on her feet for more than 20 minutes. They're all gone. Like everything just softened up. She has no foot problems anymore. She doesn't get headaches anymore. She's not depressed anymore. And so it's remarkable. If it didn't happen to my own mom, I would think I was exaggerating. But I'm probably underreporting all the different things it helped her with.
Well, that in giving something that's a specific like that with the swelling, and I don't know if what the name for all of these things are, but it sounds like inflammation, and there's another name, medical name that is appropriate. But it sounds like the blood flow, the energy level, everything just is amplified, Ed, when you help.
Mm-hmm. That's right. It is. It just causes everything to function at maximum efficiency. Your whole circulatory system, all your healing mechanisms, everything just kicks in big time, wide open.
The other thing is, I haven't really talked to Ed about this much, because it's kind of like not that important in the scope of feeling good. But I've got 5 case studies of people that have been on since I've been working with him. They're all regular Zoom users. They, at least 3 sessions a week. Wendy, I got to tell you, they all look younger and brighter. So, looking younger isn't as important as feeling better, but it's an interesting observation to see those 5 people all having that same result.
I like the language, the brighter. There's a definite sense when you see somebody and they are energetic and they're upbeat and they just have a glow.
Completely.
Okay.
Yep.
This gives me a lot to work with in terms of, thinking about how we can help others when we're saying, lighten up. There's actually a way to do it, Ed. Yep.
Light them up.
Oh. And Wendy, we made a promo code with your name, all capitals, WENDY, for everybody to try a session complimentary on us.
Thank you. That'll be excellent.
Yeah, all capital letters on Wendy.
And the promo code is where?
When they go to log in, and when it comes down to where you the purchase, there'll be like a coupon code box. Just enter your name, and then it'll be complimentary.
Enter Wendy in capital letters, and it'll be complimentary to everybody, whoever signs up with Wendy.
Okay, I feel privileged.
Yeah.
I've got connections. Yes. Okay, with a bonus. All right. What I will put links in the description for the show and link your website, eddedwards.com. Thank you both. I appreciate everything you're doing. And in some ways, you make it seem so easy. And that's the wonderful thing about it. Anybody can access it.
Yeah. I mean,
anywhere.
You were born with this. I mean, the only difference between us and y'all it got conditioned out of y'all through education and religion when you were children. So I managed to slip through the cracks because I had a grandma that did hands-on healing based on the Cherokee lineage, and she did not let the religion and churches and stuff beat it out of me. She kept reaffirming it in me. Don't pay attention to them. You're not playing with the devil. You're playing with using the Holy Spirit. And that's all she had to say.
One thing I do remember first meeting you, Ed, was the lightning story.
Which one? I've had more.
Oh, you've had more. Oh, my. You've added to that, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You were demonstrating the lightning to somebody, somebody who's a skeptic.
Yeah, that was my neighbor. When that bolt of lightning came down and hit exactly where I told him it was going to 10 minutes before it happened, that made a believer out of him. He was a famous moonshine bootlegger. And for the weeks or year or so after I did that demonstration and did a healing on him, he confessed to me every moonshine sale he made, including $64,000 worth of moonshine to the Georgia State Patrol that would pick it up and take it over to the governor's parties there. All kinds of crazy stuff going on. That guy, he freaked him out. You can find that video on my YouTube, him talking about the lightning bolt demonstration.
That was the one that made an impact. And since you've done more lightning demonstrations, I think that's a wonderful talent. It also makes you a little bit intimidating.
I know. Yeah, it keeps the bill collectors at arm's length.
Thank you. I hope that anyone who listens is able to connect, and then if they have a good result, to share, pass it on, because this is a wonderful asset that I think is underutilized until you meet somebody like you, Ed.
We love sharing this, but we always love helping people that are hurting or in pain.
Check out Ed's website, eddedwards.com, eddedwards.com, and use the promo code Wendy, all caps, WENDY, for a discount. Links are in the description for the show. Thanks for listening.